What you are listening to is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in the squared circle. Both parties have agreed to dismiss their cases and have their disputes settled here in our forum, the Turnbuckle Debate.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Turnbuckle Debate. My name is Sneed.
I'm Chad.
I'm Colton.
And live from No South Studios, I'm the Ace of Tavern, Ace Field Retro. So good to be back, guys.
Man,
it's
a
been
lot
a while
of
for
fun.
Ace.
I know, man. It's been a good while. Yeah.
I can't remember the last episode. I think it might have been the House of Black versus Judgment Day episode, if I'm not mistaken. But this is where the origins of how I met the Tavern, and I'm happy to be back here discussing all the hot topics in wrestling, man. The debate has been crushing it lately. Colton, it's been so good to see you on here and love doing what you're doing on here. It's awesome.
Yeah, man, I always love coming on the debate. It's whether it's in the third or the fourth square here. But yeah, I mean, we're doing a little Honor Society invasion tonight. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, you guys have been crushing on Honor Society. And just to tease, I know you're kind of initiating Colton into the world of Shot of Nostalgia and Smoky Mountain Wrestling. You're bringing a true redneck into the discussion of Smoky Mountain. What's better than a guy from, our neck of the woods coming into to talk about Smoky Mountain Wrestling? That's going to be fun.
How could we not? I feel like Colton was the perfect mix in here. And after having conversations on Honor Society, it was the perfect mix to do a 3-man tandem for this short season, 7 episodes, 1994 Smoky Mountain Wrestling, covering all you need to know about it, the dirt sheets, the happenings, the recordings, the talent trading with WWF. Who knew that existed? So fantastic.
Yeah, how can you not talk some good old school wrestling without a hillbilly in the mix, man? So I'm pumped to be on.
You gotta have it.
Really looking forward to some Smoky Mountain talk, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be good.
All right, fellas. Well, you guys both are veterans. This is kind of a members only show. If you guys want to get into it, man, we'll just move straight into it.
Let's open it up.
Ready? All right, let's do it. First topic of the evening. Which is the bigger upset? Kris Statlander over Jade, Asuka over Bianca?
Man, I'll start it off. I'm going to go with Statlander over Jade. And mainly just because of the streak, man. I mean, not Jade's overdue for a loss for sure. She's 60-0 after beating Taya at Double or Nothing. And I think you guys touched on it on Wrestling Tonight. I kind of wish this would have been booked slightly differently. I'm so excited that Statlander is back. But even though I don't think anybody expected Asuka to go over Bianca at Night of Champions, Bianca's had a hell of a run, man. I mean, it's 420 something days, a nice, WrestleMania 38 was when she picked it up. So yeah, I mean, she's had a run. I think everybody's kind of, especially all 4 of us here have been kind of commenting on how what they're doing with Bianca right now is kind of stale and she needs some kind of shakeup. Taking the belt off of her is a good way to get that, going forward. So even though it was maybe, I didn't think, I knew Statlander had to be coming back sometime soon because she's been out for, God, I mean, a year, and it feels like almost a year and a half at this point. But now, I did not expect it at Double or Nothing. I feel like that's a big upset to have somebody, after you have a good, 8-9 minute match with Taya Valkyrie, to have her come back off the bench and take it from her right there in, less than 5 minutes. That's a huge upset.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I have to still go with Asuka over Bianca because of the sheer fact I went into that match. And a lot of times when you're watching a match, I feel like it's a foregone conclusion what would be the finish. And that was one of these matches here. And I think we've kind of been lulled to sleep with this Bianca run, especially where if the change was going to happen, I thought it might have happened at WrestleMania because this is the rematch, obviously, here. We're looking at 2 reigns that are over 400 days, Jade being 508 and Bianca, as you mentioned, over 400. I think the biggest thing as far as upset goes, I'm looking at it from a kayfabe perspective, the fact that this wasn't a longer program, that Statlander came in and beat up a already tired Jade, takes away of some of the luster. We talked about this in Wrestling Tonight. I think they would have been better suited having Statlander come in, even if Jade wants to go and take a break for now, have her come out and have the match on Dynamite. because now it's always going to be, and of course you want to protect Jade going in, but the rub was like, yeah, but we're going to give Statlander the title, but it's not exactly what it could have been. On the other side, just the fact that Asuka won, and I know it was using the miss and then the kick. It was through Asuka's moveset. It was pretty much a clean victory over someone who's been absolutely dominant on the other side of things in WWE. So they're both big upsets, but I still think Asuka winning was still more surprising to me.
Your mic's off, Sneed. You good?
No, not getting you.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take it since Sneed's living in the silent zone. I think both are pretty shocking for each company in their own little special ways. I agree with points both of you guys made, but I got to go with Asuka beating Bianca being a little more shocking of an upset, a little bit bigger of an upset. Just the main thing that makes it bigger to me is the fact of Jade had a match prior to the open challenge coming out. Like that took, it wasn't as it was shocking that she lost the title, but the upset nature of it wasn't shocking because as soon as Smart Mark is saying we're going to issue an open challenge, as soon as he says that, I'm like, whoever is coming out is winning this belt. It's open challenges at pay-per-views are never a good thing for the champion. It's just like a built-in thing. We all know, like, this is probably not going to go well. So that took away, it wasn't a shock to me. It would have been a shock if Taya. Now, if Taya beat
100%,
I would say that was the bigger upset. And I love both Bianca and Jade. And I think they're both two of the, I think Bianca from a skill set is much more of a important figure in wrestling than Jade. But if we're going on, and that's just on skill set, but if we're going on eye test alone, like who is the bigger potential star? Just like when it's the airport test, you hear wrestlers talk about. If I see Jade in an airport and Bianca, they're both like have their it factor, but Jade's on another level of anyone in pro wrestling to me. She is striking. I've seen her in person at Fan Fest. She stands out above the crowd. So I think there's a level of like star power to her that instantly you're taking that reign away from her. We thought this reign was going to parlay into this big moment. And I get Statlander's coming back, but it wasn't that big of a moment to me. And the shock of it, like I said, with Taya. Now, if it was Taya, I would give the bigger upset to Taya. But the fact that Asuka, they both have their ups and downs though, because I don't feel like the Asuka thing was shocking to me, was a bigger upset because they didn't build. I felt like the story wasn't justifying her to win. It didn't feel like they were building to that. It felt like just another kind of short-term feud for Bianca, and for her to just step out and win it, I was like, holy shit, that's how they're going to take the title off of her. So I gotta say the Asuka over Bianca is bigger for me.
Felt like course correction. You're right. And I think you made a really good point and had me spinning my wheels for a sec about the Statlander and Jade thing. I think they would have been better suited having an open challenge to open it up and advertise through the match card. With Jade, will have an open challenge here at the pay-per-view, and then Statlander comes out and have a long form match this way, because I still think, like you said, I think the word is cheapen the win. And after all that you've cultivated and you put all this energy into this reign, I would hate to believe that Statlander's not a bigger star because of it. And it remains to be seen. Of course, we have to wait to see where this turns out to be. But as far as having an open challenge where she's defending against Nyla Rose on Dynamite, just feels like business as usual. And she doesn't feel bigger than she was when she left. And that's a shame because Jade had a lot to give. Think about all the people she squashed over the course of 500 days. I mean, you should be having a megastar following, beating her. And I don't think we have that with Statlander quite yet.
And give credit to the idiot on the flagship, Hawk. where he talked about this was by design with them having Jade lose this way. This was that old school wrestling way of beating a dominant person, but giving them that asterisk where she can come back and say, yeah, you beat me. You ended the streak, but you didn't beat me at my best. I just went through a match. So it was one of those old school booking strategies of, okay, she wants time away. We got someone ready to come back. It'll be a great moment for one of our homegrown girls, and we can put an asterisk in it where it doesn't hurt Jade at all because she just wrestled a full match. So it's that old school booking protection shit.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
we got you, buddy.
Okay. I am assuming I have a short in a cord. But anyway, I couldn't hear you guys for a minute either. So I'm not sure exactly what everything was said. With this one, this was a little tough for me because they were both big upsets to me. But I think what pushes it over the edge for me to pick, I'm going to say Asuka over Bianca, only for the fact that when Chad and I were watching this, as soon as Statlander's music hit, we looked at each other and said, she's winning this belt.
Yeah.
That was the statement that was, she's going to win this belt. And she did. She came out. And with Asuka, I absolutely did not think that Bianca was going to lose the belt in such a short form program. So
it was telegraphed. When Smart Mark says open, it was a telegraphed move. But I think Jade's got more star power over Bianca. I think a lot of people will be like, you're crazy. They're equal. I think that's what, like, Colton's argument that it was bigger. I get why you're making that argument. She was 60 something and 0 or 60 and 0. To me, she looks like the bigger star just from eye test, like I said. So that does make me want to lean that way. And if it wasn't for the open challenge, I probably would lean that way.
Yeah. And like for me, I'm really only leaning that way just because the fact that we had no idea about the open challenge until after the match. So like that was the whole concept of it was a surprise for me. I mean, yeah, once her music hit, I knew she was going over, but it's like, all right, well, it's Taya versus Jade. We all know, it's highly unlikely that Taya's taking it off over here. So like at that point, it's like 90-10% chance. And I feel like with Bianca and Asuka, like even though it's unlikely that you take it off Bianca in Saudi Arabia and a short form program, I feel like it's closer to like a 70-30, 60-40 split of Asuka winning there versus, Jade losing the belt when you think the only option is her losing it to Taya. So
that's a great point, because as much as we're sitting here saying it was predictable when the open challenge happened, no one predicted that there was going to be an open challenge. Like no one saw after the Taya match there was going to be another match where she lost the title. So the unpredictability of that's a great point. I did not see that coming.
This is one of the rare times it feels like AEW half-baked sort of this decision. And they don't usually do this where they're half in, half out. I feel like this would have benefited from just going all in. And we were talking about saving and putting the asterisk on Jade losing. I think she'd be better for it, coming out completely fresh and have to rehabilitate her image and go away for a bit. And we talked about a personality shift if she's going to come back as a big-time babyface. Going out on your back, to me, is better in a great match with Statlander. There's nothing to be ashamed of when that happens, because now no one's better for it. Jade still looks better than Statlander in kayfabe land for me, because it took Taya taking her to the limit, kicking out of her finish, and then Statlander kind of picked the bones. That's not really making your next babyface star, and we'll see where it goes. But I just feel like, again, they didn't go all in when they should have, because you had all this potential to make somebody. This would be like ending Taker's streak, not comparing both, but this is a long streak. This is like Goldberg's streak. You have the potential to make someone else and make them a bigger star. And it remains to be seen if they did that with Statlander, but early reports from that first Dynamite, I don't think they did.
I'll say this though, like in a situation like that, you're kind of screwed either way. Like I feel like this is giving Statlander the title seems more of a you've been a road dog for the company and we're going to reward you for it, rather than them using what everyone thought this was going to be, was an opportunity to create a new star in the division by beating a Jade. But I do think in the long run, I honestly think Jade losing helps, because if now we don't have to pick apart who deserves to beat her. Like, and
Yeah.
honestly, let's be real. It's hard to put someone over, a person who's on this big, long, undefeated streak, and the fans not be critical of it. They don't deserve that. Why do they get to do that? Like, look at the way when the streak was ended with Lesnar, how divisive that was for fans. Like, a lot of people thought it was a bonehead move. To this day, you get even pro wrestlers coming out and say, I still don't think Undertaker should have lost that streak. I think this will be good, because now we can concern ourselves with something else. Now we can think about, what's Jade going to do? What's next for her? Is she going to be in the main event title scene for Tony Storm's title? Like, now we don't have to get caught up in the whole it's like the Roman Reigns thing right now. Who's going to beat Roman? You got to make a star. You got to make a star. Like, at a certain point, I feel like that not having that anchor around your neck of trying to meet the expectations of the fan base of who deserves to get that. Rarely do they land that shit. Like the Goldberg streak, that was botched, you know, like they hardly ever land that perfectly and create someone out of that. I feel like.
Yeah, I think if we're still feeling the reverberations of the Taker ending the streak, we're still seeing it today. I feel like Roman is reaping benefits. We talked about this on Wrestling
We talked
Tonight.
about it, yeah.
Yeah, and I also just think the right decision was Statlander taking the title. I just have an issue with how it was done. I think she is the person, and I even said that months ago. I think she would be the person well suited. It wasn't Taya. It wasn't anyone on the roster. It wasn't Athena. It wasn't these mini programs. I think Statlander is a 27-year-old future megastar in this company to build around, from that same learning tree of Pat Buck, Brian Myers, MJF, from where they all came from. She is someone you could put the women's division on their back. I just think you did her an injustice by not having her have a 14 to 15-minute match with Jade after telling a story. Even if it's a week removed, give her the opportunity to conquer Jade at her best. And maybe they'll revisit that, and you already have the loss on Jade, so it won't matter. But I think you missed an opportunity to have her have that match, have that moment, because everyone's going to remember the fact that she picked the bones of Jade. And that wasn't fair, because I think in reality, Statlander deserves to get a clean, absolute victory. And we could see down the line, she gets her rematch and she beats her clean. And we could be like, okay, great. But I still think you had the opportunity to do it right here in Double or Nothing, big stage in Vegas. This is essentially your WrestleMania. I don't know. It was an opportunity to make someone into another star, and remains to be seen. They could do it, but I just feel like, again, defended the title against Nyla Rose. Did she feel bigger than she was when she left? Not sure.
I feel like that had to have been the plan originally, and that this is just a direct result of her injury and her having to be on the shelf for so long. I don't think Jade ever needed to get to 60. She could have got 45, 40-0, and it would have been plenty. It would have been just as impactful for me. But yeah, I mean, I think I like to believe that Statlander was the one all along to take it off of her. And this is option B/C with her having ACL surgery and being gone for so long. I mean, I think it's more than time to get this belt off Jade. She's bigger than the TBS title. Obviously, we want to see her moving towards, bigger and better things title wise. So yeah, I mean, is it ideal for Statlander? No, but I think Statlander's got the talent and got the charisma to where 2 months from now, she's going to have so many badass successful defenses that we're not even gonna fucking think about this. Like I think she's going to be able to put it on her back. I think she's going to be able to elevate this title in a way, especially with the brand split coming up and being able to actually have the TBS title on the TBS show on Dynamite and have the TNT title on the TNT show on Collision. I think that'll open up to an opportunity to maybe get a little bit more screen time for this belt. And I think that Statlander's a perfect person to do it.
I want her to be a champion like Orange Cassidy is to the international title.
100%.
Exactly.
Great call. I think that, you mentioned something, Chad, about these undefeated streaks. And I think it was very evident when Adam Cole was undefeated. It puts you in these corners where you can't book around it. And I think they were limited with Jade. And of course, you go back to the 98 with Goldberg. It was the same way. You get how many ways can you overcome the streak and build stories around it? To see some vulnerability in this, the side product of all this, not even the Statlander involved, when Jade comes back with the vulnerability of having lost and be able to lose now and tell captivating stories, not just these squash matches, these one-offs with local talent, we're going to absolutely see her develop some depth in her character, because the potential to make this huge star is right there. And I think you can't take that next step unless you have her face adversity, and serious adversity, and she's facing it for the first time in a professional career.
That's why I think there's a silver lining to maybe this is a good thing. You don't have
100%.
that anchor hanging over you of who's going to beat the streak. Having undefeated streaks, man, it's a dangerous booking move, because it builds with the longer it goes, the bigger it grows in the fans' minds. Like, who is it going to be? They're getting into that zone with Orange Cassidy. Like, if you don't make that transition into the next champion, it's going to be scrutinized. So, but I think, you'd mentioned, like, does she come back and a rematch with Statlander? Like, this feels like, and I hope it is, a way to change gears for her into the main event scene. I think her coming back to get another crack at the woman who took the title, even though she has that asterisk and she has that claim for the rematch, hey, you didn't beat me at 100%. I hope that's the easy, predictable way to go about her return. She goes back after the title she lost because of the asterisk, but I really hope they're treating this as a change. They're changing gears and direction with her, and she comes back repackaged. I would honestly like to see her return with a promo where it's like, look, we all know she didn't beat me at my best, but I'm done with that title. She can have that title now. I want the belt I haven't had yet. That's what I want to see.
Yeah,
Same.
Big money matches with Jade Cargill and whoever's at the top of the women's division. It could be, Tony Storm. It could be Jamie Hayter, whoever's down the line. I think that's a big money match.
Britt Baker, Jade Cargill, two of your biggest women's wrestlers.
Mercedes up too. Get Mercedes Moné healthy and have the two of them go at it at a big stage, whether it's an AEW or beyond. I mean, come on.
That'd be big.
I just got chills. Yeah.
All right. Does anybody have any final thoughts before we move on?
Got nothing.
All right. We'll move on to the second topic of the evening. Who should face MJF at All In?
I'm going to jump on this before anybody. I have a 2-tier. We're putting our little Booker hats on. We're breaking our pencils out. I have a 2-tier. I have a mini feud on the way to All In. I think all signs point to Adam Cole. I think there's a lot of people. It's like Adam Cole's next in line. We see that they're gearing him up. I personally feel that Adam Cole is not ready for that yet. I feel like they haven't heated him up enough. He's there. The fans like him, but he's not there yet for me. Plus, I think All In is too soon for MJF to lose that title. And I think Adam Cole, when he faces MJF, he should beat him. But I don't think Adam Cole challenging for the title again and losing is good. So I think we should get 2, 3, 4 more matches for Max before facing Adam. Make Adam earn it. I think the fans make the fans really get behind him. So I want them to keep playing up this gimmick with Max. I'm bored. Who's out there? There's nobody out there. Make that become his thing. He's bored. Who's out there? Then in the lead up to New Japan, maybe next week or the week after, and I don't know what his injury situation is, so maybe if he's hurt for a long time, this could throw a bomb in my whole plan, but I think MJF's out there talking shit. I'm bored. There's nobody. I've went through everyone. No one's on my level in the ring. No one's on my level on the mic. Boom. Eddie Kingston's music hits. Eddie Kingston walks out. They have a duel on the mic. Kingston's calling for the match. MJF's like, you're a bum. Everybody you faced says you were a bum. That's why you've never made it. Calls him out. Refuses to face Eddie Kingston. Will not face him. Eddie gets booked in a match at Forbidden Door. against some hard-hitting motherfucker, Japanese dude, because we all know Eddie loves strong style. Whoever that is, whoever he goes against. MJF, who says he will never compete at Forbidden Door, it's an indie fed, he's not going to compete there, shows up in a mask, attacks Eddie. We get a mini feud a la the Starks feud that happens on a Dynamite. We get a title match against Eddie in July against MJF. We get a couple good back and forth promos. MJF beats Eddie. Fans hate him for it because we all love Eddie. Really build it up to Eddie loses the title match again. He always loses these matches. I don't know how we get to it, but I think then another open challenge or something where I would love to see, as a placeholder before we get to Adam Cole, MJF versus Pac at All In. That's what I want. He beat Kenny Omega before. He's beaten proper people. We haven't seen him for a while. After he beats Eddie, MJF still harping on this. I'm bored. See, he came out. I beat him. There's nobody. And then Pac comes out. I would love to see Pac MJF at All In.
Ooh,
Pac
I like that. You took us for a ride there. I liked it.
Yeah, that was a great ride. Way better setup than I had in my head. But yeah, Chad, Pac was my number one pick. Mainly just it'd be incredible because you want to talk about, I love this this angle that Max is working where he's like, I'm fucking bored. Nobody's on my level. Pac's 100% on his level in the ring. And
he's British.
Exactly.
The hometown guy getting all those Brits booing MJF.
Honestly, that's the whole reason I picked. For me with this, because I don't feel like I'm still holding out for the payoff, and I don't know if we'll get it. Story, we've talked this one to death, but I'm still holding out for the payoff of FTR and Punk versus the Elite at All In. I think would be the perfect stage for that to happen. So this match doesn't need to be the biggest story of the night for me at All In by any means. So when I think about them going to Wembley, first thing that came to mind was I want somebody who's from across the pond to go for this. And, Zack Sabre Jr. is obviously he's tied up with the TV title. He's not losing that anytime soon. And yeah, like you said, man, we haven't seen Pac in a while. I'm sure he has done nothing but continue to condition and get in incredible shape. The guy looks better every time we fucking see him. And yeah, man, I mean, he's over like Rover with anybody, but especially over there, that rabid UK fan base all getting behind him. And I mean, what a better way to put more heat on MJF than have him beat the hometown hero on the first and only show across the pond. That's
the thing. It's like, I had Ospreay in my head. I had Zack Sabre, but it's like, they don't, as much as I love them, they're not in AEW. They don't deserve a crack at the world title. It's like, you had to find someone on the roster who makes sense that they could challenge for that belt, but also makes sense that they could lose and not be hurt by it. And I think Pac fits that bill perfectly. And if you have an opportunity to have 70,000+ fans hating this guy because he just beat the hometown boy, I mean, that a chorus of boos would rain down. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, it would be incredible.
I absolutely love that. And I didn't think about Pac in the title picture, but I'm going to stick with what I've been saying for a bit here. I was talking about in the group chat. I think you do career versus title with Sting. And I look at All Out and All In as two different entities. All Out is your AEW canon, driving work rate, all that stuff. You want to put on the best possible show. I look at All In as a chance for pomp and circumstance for a moment in front of Mania level. You go back to career-ending matches, Flair versus HBK at WrestleMania 24. Keep in mind, Flair was 62 on that match, tore it up. Sting is 64, so a little more miles right there on his body. And HBK and Taker at WrestleMania 26 ended HBK's career, before he went back to Saudi Arabia. But no one deserves a kind of a farewell party like Sting. I mean, active since 1985. He saw pretty much the run of Jim Crockett to WCW from 87 to 2001. And I think it's the perfect end career for him. And you could build up the drama. And I think, as you were mentioning, as we get to August, this built-in mini feud can continue with Darby. And of course, he pinned Darby at the pay-per-view with the headlock takeover. People will think it's going to be Darby. You're telling that story. And they also planted a little bit of those seeds going forward on that promo where he confronted him. And I understand it's not going to be a work rate match. I understand Sting is past his prime. And some will even say it's making a mockery of the title scene if you do this. but I think you have to capitalize on what will get the most casual eyes on the product and create a moment. Just picturing Sting in the ring for the championship, that whole entrance at Wembley, coming out to the ring, everything that entails with that, and getting the opportunity to be retired in that spot on a stage as big as it can get outside of WWE. This is the biggest stage you can have here. I mean, outside of the Tokyo Dome. And this is the closest reincarnation of WCW where Sting deserves to have his career honored, because this is the offspring of what was WCW with Turner and all that. There's enough of that ingrained in AEW to make it feel like it makes sense. And I think MJF is talented enough right now with smoke and mirrors to pull this match off, to make it feel special. He'll bump all over the place for Sting. We've seen Sting protected to the point where his Legends run right now is, to me, that's top tier, probably the staple model that they should have for what a legend should be booked like. WWE should be taking notes on how you book a guy who's 64 years old and make him not be exposed and not be booked in expense of the other talent. So I know that might be contradictory putting him in this moment against MJF, but really it's just going to add to the legend that's becoming of 27, 28-year-old MJF going to be the guy you build around. And you beat Sting and you end his career, and Sting gets his moment where MJF leaves and everyone's giving Sting a round of applause. The face paint's coming off his face, and that's it. And you say goodbye in front of 80K. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
man.
he would be able to say that he ended the career of Sting. I mean, people would hate him for it. I'm the biggest Stinger fan in the world. And yeah, I mean, I kind of poo-pooed that. I think Seth had floated that idea in the chat at one point. But you're right. It's ripe for the taking. The Darby connection. Like, I think that is way more easy to get into than the one me and Colton pitched. It's a little harder to get to ours, because the Darby, you could easily, dude, the moment where all the fans think Darby's challenging and then Sting's music hits, comes out, issues the challenge. Could you imagine him coming out at Wembley, career versus title? Goosebumps.
Man,
yeah.
I would say also you would have to make MJF into this dastardly heel going, and he's already a heel. Have him Pillmanize Darby up into the build, where someone has to come and defend Darby's honor. Have him Pillmanize, do the internal bleeding like they did with Ken Shamrock with the blood packet coming down, and Sting has to get in the ring knowing he's well past his prime. And MJF it's just
damn
Good, man.
To me, I just think All In's about the moment. You're never going to get this moment back. Your debut in the UK in front of 80K, and I hope they do it again in front of this many fans. But as far as looking at content and moments and seeing that clip go over and over again, because it's going to go viral and people are going to see it. There's going to be eyes on the product that aren't wrestling fans that may have stopped watching in 2001 when WCW went under. Say, is that Sting? Holy shit, he's in a title match. And I think they could do a good job of making sure that the match isn't embarrassing, because I understand that is a concern in a main spot there. We've seen the embarrassment on the complete other side of Ric Flair's final match, SummerSlam weekend last year in Nashville. You don't want it to be that. And I think Sting has the ability, like I said, the word is smoke and mirrors, be able to find ways to hide the flaws and emphasize all the big spots, Stinger Splash, Scorpion Death Drop, all that stuff, and get it in. And MJF gets the win and ends his career, and he rolls out of the ring and he's just left there and leaves his boots in the ring. Man,
fuck, dude. And I do think no matter when he has his career match, you got to go out, on your shield. You got to go out on your back. And I wonder if he would want to do that, not from an ego perspective of, I don't want to go out my back. I think Sting would totally do that. I just wonder if Sting would be like, I shouldn't be in the world title match. Like if he would push back against being in that spot.
It's possible 100%, but I think having the cushion of All Out just a weekend later, it's like this, all right, the main program is going to continue, but we'll have this one-off special event where you're going to appease a lot of longtime wrestling fans by letting Sting have his, because there's no other way to go out. I mean, you can have a ceremony, you can do the things you do and put him in, and show a video package of everything he's done in AEW, and maybe you own clips elsewhere. I don't know if that exists out there, but man, I think it's the right thing to do is have Sting be retired, losing a match. And nothing more emotional than that. Think about there wasn't a dry eye in the house in Miami or Orlando for the HBK and Flair match. There wasn't.
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So this was tough for me. And because I didn't have MJF wrestling at All In at all. I didn't have him on the card at all.
Wow.
I had him with a match at All Out, but not. I had him coming out and just cutting a scathing promo on the British crowd and saying that he wouldn't wrestle. I'm not wrestling for you.
That'd be a ballsy booking move. Your biggest stadium show and your champ's not on the card.
Yeah, and but I think if anybody could pull that off, it's MJF. But so thinking about it and trying to have somebody, who's he going to face it at All In? Of course, Adam Cole popped into my mind just because I don't think he's where he's at as a babyface, and I think that could put him over as a babyface even more. I don't think he has to win, but I think it could put him over more as a babyface. But I picked Darby. Darby is who I had just because of the built-in story that they have already and the headlock takeover. And
Seems
he's
like it's not over.
Yeah,
it's not over.
I don't think it's over with them. But I will say that now that I've heard Ace book Sting into this with Darby as a mini, I kind of have to lean towards. I'm with you on that. I'm still going to stick with Darby, but man, damn,
I love the Pillmanized Darby portion of it.
Yeah.
Where
let him go jump over ramps with Travis Pastrana. Like give him a month off. Do your thing, bro. Like go and do your thing. And
go climb Everest. Yeah.
Oh yeah, exactly. Go take 3 months and climb Everest.
Man.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll stick with Darby, but because that was my original coming into this, my guy. But yeah, I think it has to be Sting.
I mean, as far as like creating a moment, like a WrestleMania type of situation, career versus title, the most dastardly guy in AEW going against arguably the most beloved icon in AEW, it writes itself. I mean, that's a great.
And I did have Sting having a retirement match at Wembley. So
I had Jericho. I had Jericho versus more of like the HBK Flair moment but I mean, fuck, Jericho's getting to the point where it would be career versus career. You know what I mean? Like it would be a whoever loses goes home type of thing.
Man,
I mean, to hear Hawk say it, I really want Jericho to lose that match. So.
Yeah.
I just think for a company that is 4 years into its existence and you don't have history, when you have this built-in moment that is based on history, you kind of have to capitalize and tap that oil well right now, because if you don't, it's a missed opportunity, because Sting comes with a plethora. We mentioned his career started in 1985, like well before even guys on that roster were even born. Just the ability,
and that stuff, like, let's be honest, that type of booking does put Sting in a very, very good moment, gives him a great epic send-off at the height of the card, but you're booking for the future.
100%.
You're booking for MJF to have that moment and you're transitioning power from a legend to your guy who's going to carry the company for the next decade or whatever it is. So for him to be able to carry forth with the claim that I ended the icon's career, the devil is the new icon, like that, there's a lot of heat that comes with that, man. I mean, me and Colton's booking pack, which gets a lot of heat in the here and now, like, but that Sting heat, that's heat that carries way beyond All In.
Dude, he could start doing the Scorpion Deathlock after he retires. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how fucking awful.
It also has tentacles into the Darby feud, which is going to be a lifelong Rock Austin type of thing, where now he took out his mentor. This is the guy you took out, and Darby will never let that go.
Yeah, that's your Full Gear. Yeah, he wants revenge. He comes after you. Think Darby's going to get that title? Because I think MJF should hold the title and lose it until Revolution. I want Adam Cole, MJF at Revolution. I want him to hold it over a year. I want him holding the belt for the bidding war of 2024. So it's like that would set up. I mean, that's honestly the back half of 2023 could be MJF, Darby, Sting, and how many stories you could interweave with those three guys.
The ROI on having Sting lose to MJF, I mean, it goes forever, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that moment lives forever too. You want to talk about building content for a streaming service?
History.
Just that match, like the
That's
pictures of that alone.
Well, and given the UK fans too, like a marquee once in a lifetime match that they deserve, so yeah. Well, I'm going to be happy with if any of these three options happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. Anybody have any final thoughts before we move on?
Respect Sting, man. He deserves his legacy to be respected, not like WWE did him dirty at WrestleMania 34.
100%. I almost think
WrestleMania 31. My bad.
Tony has almost put a chip on his shoulder and like, oh, you guys fucked this Legends send off up. I'm not going to fuck it up. So I could see him sending him off like this. Yeah. Watch this.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's move to our final topic of the evening. Who has more heat, Dom or Don?
Type in the booze. Boo.
Damn, I should have put that on the board.
Yeah, you should have put some booze.
It should have been some booze on there.
And we have to talk through it like Don did on Dynamite, like try to talk through the booze. Just the laser focused of being able to do that skill set.
Here's my thing with this. I see a lot of people on the internet saying Dom couldn't even speak during the booze. Dominik Mysterio, that is. Dominik couldn't even speak during the booze. It was so loud. Don spoke. The reason Dom couldn't speak is he's a fucking rookie, dude. You got to command the audience. Don was speaking over those dudes. It was just as loud. I don't want to hear these boos were louder. I mean, at that point, we're splitting hairs. I think it came down to Don has skill controlling a crowd and powering through. When Don's saying, what did he say, Steve? When he's saying, those boos better be for Kenny Omega.
I hope it's for Kenny Omega.
Because I'm the victim here.
I'm the victim.
And don't get me wrong, Dom has nuclear heat. Like I think they both have phenomenal heat. Having said all that, I don't think Dom being able to not speak over the boos has anything to do with who. We're not debating the volume level of the boos for me. Like that, I feel like they were pretty close. I got to go Dominik though. Having said all of that, the only reason I'm going Dominik is because that level of heat, he's shown it a little more. If Don can continue that level of heat for weeks, then I think he's there. I think Don's this past Wednesday night when he got that heat, I think it was just as impressive as any amount of heat Dom has got in a single shot. But Dom has had heat for longer, so I got to give the tip to Dominik Mysterio.
Yeah, I got to give it to Dominik too, and it fucking pains me so hard to do that because I hate the way he gets his heat. I hate the way, and it's not that he can't talk through the booze. He does that. He stops his talking to let the chorus of booze get louder. It's all a tactic to get more heat, and I hate the way he does that. Don Callis, Ace, you said it. He talks through the booze. And Chad, you said it. He's more skilled. So the way they handle their heat, I like Don Callis a lot better. But
did you see the bug-eyed motherfuckers in that crowd booing Don Callis? Like, I like that you got into the situation.
I really hope that those boos are for Kenny Omega.
It was like he's trying to talk over them, and the crowd's like, "No, we're not going to let you talk." It was they were in this battle of who's going to be louder. I thought it was excellent.
I'm going to say here, and I agree with both of you guys. And first of all, let's shout out to Don Callis' history in wrestling, being Cyrus and also being the Jackal we're covering in 1998.
Jackal.
I mean, ECW, WCW, he was working for Impact prior to coming to AEW. The guy's longevity is insane. I think the only guy comparable to this level of impact, pun intended, of the wrestling business is Paul Heyman. Like Don Callis has been a part of every era. I feel like he's one of those guys in history where, you know, you ever watch one of those movies and there's a guy who's like always in every picture. It feels like Don Callis has been part of so much wrestling history that people are not even aware of. A lot of people don't even realize that he was involved in ECW, involved
New
in
Japan
big ways during the Attitude Era as far as Jackal. I know it wasn't big moments, but he was involved there. And he's just been a guy who's been consistently involved in the wrestling business. My decision had a lot to do with where the boos and the heat take place. And I look at WWE as this tuna can echo chamber that's very sterile, where the fans a lot of times will just react in a certain way that's it's not over the top. While on the AEW side, they are there for a good time, and they'll, a lot of the guys, they'll react the way you want them to react, and we'll see how that works with CM Punk going forward. But for the most part, the fans at AEW are diehard and they play their part. They understand their role. While now you separated the AEW fans, a lot of the WWE audience, they're not reacting in certain ways. So I look at Dominik Mysterio and also Judgment Day as being this microcosm of overcoming bad, shitty booking. And he has overcome it to the point where he's naturally gotten over. And I think he's gotten over in spite of the fact of the WWE's hollow attempt to make Judgment Day a certain thing. And I think it has a lot to do with his skill set that's developing. And it could be a lot to do with his lineage and the fact that he is Rey Mysterio's son. So that's built in, and he's off to a head start right there. But I think there was a lot of learning on the fly for him. And he had go away heat not too long ago as a babyface.
Yeah.
So the fact that he came from that point is now generating heat to a point where people are reacting, and he's attached to Rhea Ripley. And I'm not saying he's everything to do with it, but he's a part of Rhea's rise up this women's division. That package is essential to what they're both doing. I'm impressed with Don, and I was very impressed with what we saw on Dynamite, but I think it's a kind of expected from AEW and Don Callis at this point. I think they have been sort of eliciting that reaction. I'd be shocked if that continues to that level. I think San Diego was just very, very happy to be out there and booing. You got to think about the Bucks.
But you got to think, dude, that this could be one of those things too, where cities are going to pick up on it and want to
100%. You're right.
Other.
It has a chance. It has a chance, like you said.
It's like Judas. Like Judas just kind of happened naturally on the Jericho Cruise Dynamite, and now it's like it built steam, and it became this thing where you could see fans like, we're going to top him, we're going to boo this motherfucker harder than San Diego.
100%. I think Dom has just been a little bit more consistent, and I think it's not fair to Don to judge him yet, but we'll see where it goes throughout this, and I can't wait. Also, the side product is Takeshita getting along for this ride, man. He looks so badass sitting in black in there, and he's the silent assassin type. And then also cutting the promo in Japanese with the ties for Don Callis with New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was perfectly done. Can't wait for Okada and Ibushi to get involved. But sticking to the question, I think Dom right now has been getting consistent heat since, at this point, it's been 4 or 5 months where he's been able to get these reactions everywhere he goes. And that's a credit to him. We were a lot of ways we were saying negative things. And I think Colton, that was originally how you got called into the tavern. You were burying Dom. Well, no, I think you were supporting Dom.
I came for Dom. I came to bat for Dom, man.
Exactly. And here we are, full circle, my dude, right here.
Man, I gotta say, I'm coming to bat for him again here. I think he's got way more heat, dude. And a lot of it's just because Dom's been in the fucking oven a little longer than Don has. He's been going a little bit longer. I think Don Callis has the potential to definitely get more heat than where Dom is right now. But yeah, man, Dom's got good heat. And like you guys said there for a while, it was go away heat. And when I came to his defense, it was more so just because I feel bad for fucking 8-year-old Dom who got paraded out on TV. Like that shit's, I don't care how you cut it. That shit's traumatic, dude. I don't care how smartened up. I said it on the voicemail the first time I ever called in. You can only smarten an 8-year-old up so fucking much. You're gonna tell,
true.
You're going to tell, and some of the peak ratings too, like you're going to tell people that like, oh, hey man, we're going to go out here and tell everybody that your real life, basically uncle is actually your real life dad, and your real life dad and your real life uncle are going to fight about it. And whoever wins is who you're going home with, pal. But yeah, man, no, Dom's heat is great, man. I'm really happy with where he is. And I think that, yeah, he's just a little bit more well established right now, man. And I think a lot of he does, lends it he has a nice foundation of having that heat. Cause I had it when he first started showing up on TV. I'm like, God damn it, are we really just giving Ray's 6 foot whatever shot or son a shot just because he's Ray's kid? So but he's developed it, like you said, Ace. Like he's kind of honed it, and I've been really impressed with where it lands. And honestly, man, I think he's got even more heat maybe even a little shoot heat after that acclaimed line directed at Buddy Matthews.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, my jaw hit the fucking floor when he said that, man.
It was great. It was a great line.
Yeah, it was a great line, and also just like to totally break the fourth wall and blow the doors open on both universes. I thought that was awesome. That was one of my favorite parts of Double or Nothing.
So if someone referenced Don Callis on WWE television, is it just a kind of defining what the WWE audience is, not being aware of the other side? Is it just both AEW is a little bit more aware, or does it mean Dom's more over? Like, what do you guys think about that?
I saw some people in the comments saying that, well, AEW mentioned Dom and WWE isn't mentioning Don. That's not really WWE's MO, you know, like
Right.
they never, they're like, don't mention the competition. I think AEW has proven, not just with WWE and taking shots at them, WWE treats the pro wrestling universe like it's WWE. That's where pro wrestling, that is the universe, the WWE universe.
Starts and ends right there.
AEW acknowledges the outside worlds. They obviously Impact, NWA with, you know, Thunder Rosa bringing that title over, Serena D being the champion in NWA, all of the stuff, obviously with New Japan, constantly referencing WWE. That's why when people kind of give the company shit about they're always talking about other people, like, no, they're just not treating their fans like they're idiots. They're acknowledging that the pro wrestling world is bigger than just All Elite Wrestling, which I find refreshing. So I didn't take it like, oh, they're mentioning them, so he's the bigger deal. I took it as just a hell of a fucking line from Max Caster and tapping into something. You got Buddy Matthews standing there. What rhymes? What was the word? Ominous. What rhymes with ominous? Dominic. I can make that work. I think it was just a slick move on Caster, and Tony, I think, loves that stuff. And I think he knows that the fans appreciate those winks at the greater world of pro wrestling.
Yeah, and it had me thinking a lot about the versatility of both these guys as far as in their role going forward and how essential they are for storytelling on both companies. And who would have thought, you know, both think about Don Callis and Dominik Mysterio, if we would have had this conversation a year ago saying they're going to be essential towards the build at their biggest events of the summer, and they are. So it just shows how much the landscape can change. And these guys are important to what the stories they're trying to tell, big pieces.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to when Dan Lambert comes back too.
Dude, yes.
I was a fan of Lambert. I thought he got good heat. I just didn't like the people he was aligned with, but in the right situation, he would have been great. I really hope, like what we kind of alluded to, I hope this turns into cities trying to outdo one another with the boos for Don. And I guess my last question is, do you guys think with the heat, who benefits from the heat more? Like, who has more to gain from getting this heat? You know, Dom's a young guy coming up. Don's just a manager. Like, who needs the more heat? Like, what heat is more important to either guy? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, they both have definitely their benefit, but I think who benefits most is Takeshita, really. I think Takeshita is going to benefit a lot from this because I don't know if he's ready for that big, I mean, athletically, he's gifted beyond belief. As far as being in the main event slot, think about, he was just on Dark not too long ago. So he's getting a huge shot here coming over and being a focal point, future AEW world champion. I said it a year ago, but I think that Takeshita benefits most, and everybody else in Judgment Day does as well, because the last debate I was on, it's full circle. Judgment Day was an embarrassment. They were trying to make them this ministry of darkness, and they lean into the goofy, which is what Dominic is, and it just works. This is perfect mesh.
Yeah, I gotta agree with Ace here. I think at this point, like, Takesha's gonna benefit most. Dom's not gonna hurt from his heat stagnating a little bit, and Don needs to turn up the gas a little bit and put some on Takesha. I think I'm excited for his heel turn. I mean, I'm gonna love Takesha as a babyface or a heel, but I'm excited to see just his character develop a little bit more, beyond something more than just an incredible fucking wrestler that everybody loves to watch in the ring. It's going to actually add a little depth to him and give him a little personality. And yeah, I'm with you guys. I think the competition between cities of who can boo Callis worse is I'm looking forward to that.
Man, that's going to be awesome.
And you have to know that a lot of what Don was saying about Takeshita is a shoot. I mean, he is a unicorn in the wrestling world.
Yep.
You don't see guys that can do the things he can at his size. I mean, they have gold on their hands if they can cultivate it in the way that they should. Man, Takeshita is anywhere he goes, he should be a top guy. So AEW making the decision quick, it shows a lot here.
6'3", 240, better than Okada.
I want to see what Don has up his sleeve too, with who he's going to bring in, to tear down the Elite. So
we'll see what happens with Dominion, because Claudio and at this point it already aired. Claudio and Moxley are in a 6-man tag for the Never Openweight Championship, so they're teaming with Shota Umino, and we'll see if there's any bleed over here with the Elite and BCC over in New Japan, and I think there might be, and I think Don Callis may be doing a lot of recruiting in New Japan Pro Wrestling, looking for someone to take out the Elite and taking on the services, and we might see the result of that Forbidden Door.
Well, I think Kenny Omega's in Japan now.
I think it's possibly shows up at Dominion on 6'4".
I think
so. I think it's possible.
Yeah, just to comment on what heat is more important. I agree with you guys. It is Takeshita. I would say that the heat is more important to Don, because Takeshita's got more to gain from that heat than Dom has from. I just don't think any level of heat is going to get Dominik Mysterio to a point where he's a main event top guy. I think Don Callis generating enough heat can put Takeshita into a main event slot. I think he has the look. I think he has the talent. I think you're looking at a guy who could be the silent assassin, fucking badass, who crowds hate, who destroys your heroes. If that heat can put him up in the upper echelon with the Danielsons, where when you look at the main event scene of AEW, he's a threat. He's in the mix. I don't see any level of heat putting Dominik Mysterio to a point where he's mixing it up with the Seth Rollins of the world.
Solid point. I don't see Dom breaking through that glass ceiling of the mid card. You're right. And like you said,
not to say what he's doing isn't special. I mean,
100%.
You need those guys. And I think he is great for Judgment Day. And I think he adds him and Rhea are more important than Finn and Damian Priest to that faction, in my opinion.
By a mile.
But he'll never be where Takeshita could be.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dom will never be world champion. I mean, by the sound of my voice, he won't be world champion. It's just not going to happen. But doesn't mean he won't be a meaningful, memorable character for a long time. And that's okay. Mid carders are okay.
Yeah,
gotta have them.
All right, guys. Anybody have any final thoughts before we wrap up for the evening?
This is a great series of topics. I love it.
Loved
this was
it.
fun, guys.
Challenging questions.
And it was a lot of fun to have you guys back on, man. It was good. It's always an Ace, you too. I mean, especially since we haven't had you on for a long time.
Yeah, it's great to be back. And I want to make it more of a staple. Wednesday nights have been tough for me. It's just been challenging on my schedule with doing stuff at Remarkable Wrestling. I've been all over the place. So you guys, I appreciate the support. Everyone, follow me at Acefield Retro. We got a lot of good stuff happening for Remarkable Wrestling. But as my schedule opens up a little bit more, we'd love to be more flexible, be back on the debate, because this is always a blast.
Yeah, man.
Definitely, man. Well, tell everybody where they can find you guys.
So you guys can find me at Acefield Retro. And of course, you guys can also find us on the Honor Society, talking Ring of Honor weekly, 10:10, sometimes 10:35, depending on how we finish recording, talking all things ROH. And also, of course, Shot Nostalgia. You guys can find me. We'll be covering Survivor Series 1998. I was solo last week, but this week coming up, Mike will be back talking about Deadly Games, The Rock becoming the corporate champion. And don't forget Wrestling Tonight for all your wrestling news, Mondays at 7 p.m., breaking down every topic, Impact, New Japan, AEW, WWE, all over the place.
Is that Deadly Games the stage with the big skull?
It is, absolutely. Yep.
One of my all-time favorite stages in WWE.
100%. And, this is the one of two one-night tournaments for the WWF Championship in history. Of course, WrestleMania 4 when Macho won, and then Survivor Series 1998. And infamously, Vince McMahon hates tournaments. So there's a lot of screwy finishes. I believe that there's 19 matches. Maybe I'm just thinking we're confusing that with ROH. 17 matches, something like that on the Survivor Series card. So there's a lot of screwy finishes. And there's a crazy story that I'll tell on the air about Big Boss Man that I was reading in the dirt sheets, just about how we almost fucked up the whole tournament. So stay tuned for that.
Fucking Ray Trailer coming through with the screw job.
Yeah, he's supposed to be in the middle of the ring, but he's in the back talking about his match with Vince with Undertaker, and they almost fucked up the whole thing because it was based on his actions.
Oh, that's amazing.
Come on, boss man. All right, guys, that's going to wrap us up for this edition of the Turnbuckle Debate. Make sure you guys are going to the turnbuckletavern.com for all of your tavern needs. Everybody pretty much got their shit in. Colton, I'm going to give you this. Just get whatever shit in you want, man.
All right, man. You guys can follow me on Instagram at mullet.mania. Like Ace said, please come join us over on YouTube at the Turnbuckle Tavern YouTube for Honor Society Thursday nights at 10:10, 10:20, 10:35, kind of whenever we get it up there. But we have a good time. Yeah, man.
Awesome. Court is dismissed.